Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to day 2 of the 2023 FedEx Express and Junior Achievement International Trade Challenge Regional Finals. Today, we'll be focusing on the Entrepreneurial Journey Speaker session. I'm Kirk Kenny from JA Asia Pacific, and we're so delighted to have so many friends from around the region and really around the world tuning in. So welcome one and all. Now, before we get going with today's program, on behalf of Junior Achievement Asia Pacific, I would first like to thank our FedEx volunteers for giving so generously of their time to mentor our students. I've heard so many wonderful things. And of course, an equally big thank you to our judges as well. Without all of you, none of this would be possible. Thank you. So I hope everybody is rested, recharged, and ready for what promises to be an amazing day 2. Yesterday, we had a great kickoff where we got to meet our students and learn the topic for this year's challenge. And our finalists were also treated to I think you'd agree, a highly engaging keynote from our guest speaker, Kami Vishwanathan from FedEx, who shared so many relatable insights from her unique global entrepreneurial perspective. So thank you, Kami. I know our finalists got a lot out of that session, and the ideas that you shared are going to help them not only over the next 2 days, but hopefully well beyond the conclusion of this event. So a heartfelt thanks, Kami, and we look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow. So today is all about our students continuing their learning journey and honing their skills. It's one more opportunity for our finalists to grow and hopefully extract some new learnings that can sharpen and improve their market entry strategies and really make them stand out from the crowd, which is a message we heard yesterday. So I would strongly encourage our students to listen closely, take notes, be prepared to ask questions following the presentation. This is your time to ask the questions that you want answered and hopefully learn from someone who has walked, I would say, a truly unique entrepreneurial journey. And with that, I would like to introduce you to our speaker for today, Antoinette Jackson, founder and creative director of SuperBee. Troubled by the increasing use of single-use plastics, Antoinette was driven to develop a sustainable product that tackled this problem. So what did she do? She set out to create a beeswax mix for sustainable food wrapping in her kitchen at home, just like her grandmother did when she was growing up. And in 2016, Antoinette founded SuperBee Wax Wraps. I don't know about you, but I'm really dying to hear more about her journey. So won't you please join me in giving a warm welcome to Antoinette Jackson. Welcome, Antoinette.
Apologies for the glitch, Annie.
No problem. Shall I start now with my talk about SuperBee?
Yes, thank you.
So good morning, everybody. I'm very honored to speak to everyone this morning about my entrepreneurial journey and the launch of SuperBee. My name is Antoinette Jackson, but better known as Annie, and I'm the founder and creative director of Be Conscious Company Limited, and we are the makers of SuperBee. I'd just like to start to tell you a little bit about myself because it has a lot of meaning in that which I have made. I'm originally from Australia on the coast, from beautiful beaches, with very fortunate currents that do not bring a lot of plastic onto our beaches. So we don't see it so much in Australia. It's very beautiful and clean, and the nature is so lovely. And I was very fortunate as a child to grow up on this coastal area on a farm that my parents owned, growing fruits and vegetables. And I think I created a very strong connection to nature. I went on, when I was in high school, I received a scholarship to study in Japan. And I was always very curious and passionate about Asia. And when we talk about creating products or creating businesses, my advice to young people who would like to take that journey as well is to look at what is your passion. And for me, it's nature, it's traveling, it's community and food and being healthy. And all of these things are connected to our brand SuperBee. About 11 years ago or 12 years ago, 2011, I came to Thailand with my family. Previous to that, I lived in Germany for about 10 years in Europe. My partner is German and I have 2 children. And we moved here in 2011. And I was quite shocked at the amount of plastic that was at the beaches in Thailand. And it made me really sad that we could not enjoy such a clean, beautiful, natural environment here. And so I started to research about plastic use. And, you know, one of the things that I find most devastating is microplastics, because if you see a bottle floating on the ocean, you can, or in the river, you can just pick it up and you can take it somewhere to be recycled or upcycled. But microplastics, which come from plastic wrap and very small plastic wrappers and so forth, they break down and we can't see them anymore. And there are devastating statistics these days that tell us about a credit card worth of plastic being in our bodies and in fish and water and so on. And it's so depressing in a way that people really can't even hear it anymore. So this was my inspiration to make the beeswax wrap. And it's a beautiful product. It was originally used by my grandma and maybe many other grandparents. It dates back to Egyptian times. And it's made from organic cotton, beeswax, and a bit of tree resin and organic coconut oil. And what it does, instead of the plastic wrap that you would wrap your food in, you can use this instead, and you can use it up to 2 years. Wrap it, wash it, and reuse it. So in the early days, when I was talking to my father about this product, I came back to Thailand and I scoured the markets for beeswax and different prints. And I just went into this kind of state of flow, I guess they called it, where I was making quite a mess in the kitchen. And then I was banished to the laundry. This is my daughter to the right, where I went through the process maybe over about 6 to 9 months to make the beeswax wrap. And it was a beautiful process of the beeswax when it was melting and the cotton, and it brought me actually a lot of joy to make this product, and it was very fun. I started to sell it at local markets. A lot of here in Chiang Mai, my children went to international school, so I took it to the Christmas markets and we would just sell out and people loved it. And I think a part of why it sold so well is that people hear about the plastic problem and it's so sad and depressing and people feel so helpless. But when they see our products and the colors and the solution that it creates, it brings them a lot of joy and happiness.
SuperBee.
Oh, sorry. So what I wanted to say here was that after selling it successfully at the market, my husband, who fortunately he is a IT guy, a web developer, he said, why don't I make you a website? So we had 5 products in the beginning. It was 5 beginner sets, which are small boxes of large, medium, and small beeswax wraps. And I made a video with a friend. Very casually, actually, we made that video and we launched it in the evening of July 30th, 2016 and went to bed. And in the morning, it had over 1 million views. It went viral. It was so incredible. And by the end of the week, about 5 million views. And this is what launched our website and our brand SuperBee. And I would like to show you that video right now.
SuperBee wraps. Replace plastic cling wrap and many other plastic containers. Wrap it, wash it, reuse it. Made from 100% cotton, pure beeswax, organic coconut oil and golden tree resin. Beeswax protects our food from bacteria, a natural and beautiful wonder. SuperBee wraps are sustainable, handmade with love and a natural antibacterial. If you care about your food, why not care about what you wrap it in?
So that was the launch of SuperBee, and then orders started coming in from the website, and there was like this map on the back end where you could see where everyone was like located in the world on the website buying our products, and it was just unbelievable actually. And of course I needed then help to make the product, so I started to ask around in the village, and I'm actually here in Chiang Mai province, about 1 hour out of the city up in the mountains. And this is a rural area. And so I asked around if there were any single moms, because I used to be a single mom. And so then I started to form a small team of women to help me make the beeswax wrap. And this started another kind of mission, I guess, because SuperBee started as an environmental impact mission, but it then became something about social justice as well. This is the village where SuperBee started, and it's a rural area, and part of the United Nations Sustainable Goals is also about creating more industry in rural areas. This is Kun It. She started as QC and now she's my finance manager. A lot of the first team of people that started working for us are now mostly team leaders and in management jobs. This just shows you a few pictures of the area where we live in rural Thailand. It's currently very green and beautiful, just like the pictures. So this here was the original team, and most of these, probably 4 out of 5, became leaders at SuperBee and now are supporting other new team members. Our raw materials are also coming locally. When you make a product, it's very important that you have a strong supply chain. Many people might think that selling the product and the customers are very important, but equally suppliers and how you ship or deliver those supplies is very important to your cost and also your mission to have good environmental impact for your business. Our beeswax is sourced locally from a farmer's co-op from Chiang Rai to Lampang. And pretty much all of what we use in our production is locally sourced and, if possible, from underserved suppliers. Our packaging comes from a hill tribe run business as well. And so it's all part of our beautiful concept. These are some of the lovely patterns. We can print actually anything on the cotton to create beeswax wrap. In the presentation here, I just show a lot of people shots too, because people, when you grow a business, are everything. And it's important to treat them well and be kind and help them grow as well as the business. This photo I show because I want to talk about community and how this is very important as well in my entrepreneurial journey, to be integrated into the community here as a foreigner as well. Every month there is a group of villagers that will clean the streets and keep them clean and take care of waste and rubbish. And I like that community aspect of Thailand. It's very lovely. Whenever we do workshops at SuperBee, we often host student groups and do make it yourself, like DIY beeswax wrap workshops. The plastic chairs you can see and tables, these all belong to the village. So whenever there's a wedding or a funeral or any kind of event, there's always this equipment that we can use in the village as well. These are the mountains in our area and the nature that we protect through our brand. most of the people in this area, they are farmers. There's a lot of agricultural area and royal project area. And so we have seen in the last years that in coffee shops around this area, they're starting to use reusable straws. We've seen more and more people using reusable bags and reusable cups in coffee shops and at the market. And we like to feel like we have created a little bit of that impact too. On the right is my husband, software, technical development, and so on. This is all very important, and he creates an amazing kind of scaffold around our business of personalized intranet inventory system that we have to keep track of our products, our POs, our SOs, and our team is really working very well together. After the launch of the website and through social media and marketing and more PR, we realized that there was another way to create revenue, and that was through OEM, which means like a private label of our own products. We've even worked with FedEx. We've made a triple small beeswax wrap pack with them. And this is also a wonderful way to collaborate with businesses, big and small, to increase your brand exposure and to work with other brands or businesses that have a similar mission or, story as you do. As you can see, our business grew. I think pre-COVID, we had around 40 employees. I think now we're down to about 25. This is the production area. This is the beeswax team, the quality control and packing team, and then again, our full team here. In the last years, we have then gone on to launch many other products that reduce plastic. They are all alternatives to single-use plastic in the home, laundry, bathroom, kitchen, and also for traveling. And we are really proud of our products and how they're made and how they're distributed as well. This year, we were so lucky to have got the B Corp certification. One of the obstacles we have in Thailand is that a lot of certification that might be available in America or in the UK, for example, we were not eligible for that as a company limited in Thailand. So there was some limitations being in Thailand for sure, not just logistically, but also for getting certification. So it was actually very wonderful when we discovered that although we were in Thailand, we could apply for B Corp. And it took 2 years of application. B Corp application is not easy. And I think we can all trust that certification, that they really check companies and what they are doing to ensure that they have a high standard of social and environmental impact. And I do feel like if you are going to start a brand or launch a product in the future, that it's really important to think about those things. So now I would like to talk about SuperBee and how that became. This here is the first ever kind of SuperBee logo. When I started selling the product at the market, I was thinking, what will I call it? And my son, who was 12 at the time, he said, you should call it SuperBee, like a superhero, like Superman, and who saves the earth from plastic. And that was actually how SuperBee came to be. The first logo was like this. It was the homemade version. And then it grew to what it is today. The logo, we work with a friend in Germany. I had researched a little bit. It's quite good if you have a logo with like pointy ends, because apparently it attracts more attention. And the hexagon in the middle is like stop, like a stop sign, and the kind of symbolism of people should stop and think like, what am I buying? Where did it come from? How will it be, disposed of? So it's about stop and be more aware and let SuperBee save the earth from plastic, I guess. when you have a brand, it's important to have a brand manual. To be honest, we didn't have one until about 5 years into our business. We've been running 7 years, that we actually documented everything. And here you can see also how we exhibit the brand in different trade shows. These hexagon tables, they were handmade by my husband, who's not only a developer, but a carpenter as well, multi-talented. And on that stand, you can see the beginner set. That product with the 3 hexagonal windows was the first product we launched. And if you're talking about shipping, which I know is an important factor to the competition, it's important to know what is your HS code, for example. What is the HS code you need for exporting your product? How will it fit in a carton? What kind of customs declaration form do you need? All of these things are essential to know before you launch a product, ideally. For us, we learned a lot as we went along. Again, the brand manual, we have certain colors that we only use, 5 or 6 colors that we only use in every part of our brand to ensure a strong corporate identity. All of that hard work of marketing and brand manuals and so on last year really paid off for us when we entered a supermarket in the US. When the pandemic hit, it was quite devastating for SuperBee because we originally, when we first launched, we were selling to Australia and Europe and Singapore and Hong Kong, but it was mostly in homeware stores and gift shops, and a lot of these were, of course, closed down during the pandemic. So SuperBee was really struggling through those years trying to make ends meet, although we had e-commerce and we also sell on Amazon globally. We really lost a lot of our wholesalers, which was the main part of our business. So we had the retail e-commerce, we had wholesale, and then we had like B2C third parties like Amazon and now Lazada and Shopee. But during the pandemic, it was hard. And so my only choice at that time was to pivot to supermarkets, because supermarkets were the only shops that were really allowed to be open during the pandemic. And I was very lucky during the pandemic that they had a lot of online virtual trade shows, whereby normally I would have to travel to America to meet the buyers, but I had to pay a fee to meet buyers virtually during the pandemic, which was a huge bonus for us being in Thailand. And there we landed some deals with supermarket chains in the US, which really saved us and threw us kind of forward, and not so stressful and not many financial problems anymore. And this was the first big truckload that we sent. And the bigger we get, the more we learn. I think you can't know everything when you launch a brand or a product. And the first viral video I showed you before, actually, whenever I look at that video, I think, oh, I wish I had have ironed the fabric, you know. But there's a very famous saying by Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and he says, done is better than perfect. And sometimes you have to have that kind of mindset as well. Sometimes not everything is perfectly prepared and set out and organized for you before you start. Sometimes you have to learn as you go and run fast and try to pivot and move with the changes in the economy and what's going on in the world. So, obstacles of innovation. So I believe the topic is sustainability for your products too, for the people in the competition, the students in the competition. Something about sustainability I will have to tell you is that it needs a lot of education and information. So if we were to sell a pen, everyone knows how to use a pen, so it doesn't need much explanation. But our products, there are so many questions. How do you use them? How do you wash them? Can I put them in the microwave? No, you can't. How long do they last? How many wraps is that? And so on. What is it made with? And there are so many questions. So it's not an easy sell to create innovative products that are environmentally impactful is hard work. because you're not just trying to sell a product, you're also trying to change habits, and this is very hard. So these, what I'm showing you here, these are called shelf helpers. So when our products are being sold in supermarkets or stores, we have to send these along with little pictures and little kind of blurbs saying how to use the product, what it's good for, what problem it solves. And then every shelf helper has a QR code that leads the customer, if they scan it, to a YouTube video that explains that product in detail. So this is something you have to do, an additional extra effort of education, information, why you should use reusables, you know, how do you use them, how do you wash them? And there are so many questions that we get. So a lot of our time is really spent in marketing and informing and answering a lot of questions about our products. But in general, if we're selling products at market, then if people see them and use them and get to talk to someone really about how to use our products, they buy them straight away because they are really great and solve a really big problem, actually. So what I'm going to show you now is our pitch deck. So this is the pitch deck that we would normally use and send to potential customers or partners about who we are. So we kind of break it down into this small presentation. Our logo or our slogan is making eco living easy, and that we're a social enterprise. So it's important to show the customer this is the problem and that we have the solution. So by 2050, there'll be more plastic than fish in our oceans. Sad fact. But luckily we have SuperBee, who has all these innovative products that can solve these problems. So here's the timeline. 2015, I started making the beeswax wrap, and now we have an eco store, and now we're international, selling to over 25 countries. Our mission is to innovate, educate, and empower. And the social enterprise aspect, we do many projects. One of them is microfinancing. So once I started the business and it was doing well, I started to discover a lot of social injustice in the community here with regards to loan sharks and high interest loans between people in the village. So we started a microfinance project where employees of SuperBee and their family could take out interest-free loans with us, and we managed to get many people out of debt. We also donate to the local firefighters here in Chiang Mai. There's a huge air pollution problem, so we support our local firefighters and other foundations. So innovate, educate, empower, that's our vision. The other issue, which was an obstacle for us in Thailand, is getting certification as well, because you've made a product that doesn't exist in the market, like the beeswax wrap, and then the customer saying, is it food safe? Do you have certification? And we said, well, no. So then we went to different labs and we asked them, can you please, check for food safety on this product? And their answer was, oh no, we only test plastic. So it took us around 1.5 years to find a lab in Hong Kong and one in Germany that would test our products for FDA, and now they are food safe. And again, being in Thailand and having products that are new to the market, getting products certified for functionality and safety, this is really a struggle, but not impossible. So our packaging, I think, is something we're very proud of. When you make a product for retail, you have to think about how it will be displayed. This is also challenging because people want to touch and feel and use it before they buy it quite often. So it requires, again, the shelf helpers and a lot of education and fun designs. All of our packaging is plastic free, in line with our mission statement. So when you're making products, it's important to know, like, what box will you ship it in? How will it fit in there? You want to have as less free space as possible, but also at the same time making sure that the product will not be damaged when it's being shipped. Often it has to go to the US from here, so things have to be packed tightly. And what will you use to buffer the packaging? We use a lot of recycled, upcycled, reused cardboard, paper, and so on. All of our packaging and shipping material, including the tape, is plastic free. So if you would like, after this, our website is www.superbee.me, and we have many social media accounts with an extensive media kit, and we've also collaborated with companies like Greenpeace, BBC, we've been in Vogue, and again, marketing products that are not normal in a way, that are not what normal people would not use the beeswax wrap. Probably most of the world is still using saran wrap or plastic wrap. So marketing is a huge part of our business, trying to get our story out there, our products out there, how to use them, that they're trustworthy, that they work, and so on. And this is a very time-intensive part of our business, marketing. Our marketing mix, I think we use every single possible marketing channel. This year we will be focusing on SEO, as it's more of a long-term investment. If you have a good website with good keywords, when people Google and search for something that you're offering, you'll be at the top if you can focus really on SEO and having a good website. Of course, social media, we're always posting, and, you know, getting engagement these days is hard. The algorithm is changing. And so we try to use different channels and, you know, see what's working. And, you know, just like everything, like the economy, like pandemics coming and going, marketing is also forever changing and very fluid, and you need to be really on it all the time to see what the latest thing is. That's why at the moment we really like SEO, as it's quite a stable long-term investment. And luckily for us, like, SuperBee has great, you know, we can really educate more about sustainability and what we're doing socially, and we hope we can inspire others. So I'm almost finished. I just wanted to touch on logistics again, because it's a big topic of the competition and sponsored by FedEx. What we have is, we're here in Thailand, which is the green point, and we have 3PLs, which is third-party logistics. So we would send our products to the 3PL, and when there's orders in that region, the 3PL will ship out for us to that customer in that region. What I can say about that is very difficult, also very expensive. You need to know exactly how much stock to send where, and you want to be able to sell it. So you need to pay for storage in those 3PLs, and this is always kind of challenging. And lately I've been kind of feeling that it limits our potential to launch more handmade products. Originally, SuperBee was very handmade, and our mission was also about, like, supporting local artisans. Like, we used to work with local artisans here who would crochet dishcloths, or, you know, artists we could print limited edition beeswax wraps on. But every time we launch a new product now, we have to make sure it's available in the 3PL. So we're actually in the process right now of maybe reducing B2C to be from our headquarters, so that we regain that, like, creative freedom of making different products in small numbers and being able to kind of test the market and have a little bit more fun. And the last thing I want to show you is, before I was telling you how my son had created SuperBee, the logo, which was a superhero. And over the years, I always wanted to bring that superhero alive. And my son and his friends, who are in a film club at the school, they made the first SuperBee video with the actual superhero in it. And I would like to end my talk with that video.
Where is it? Where is this amazing thing? Aha! Found it. SuperBee wax wraps have avoided over 2.5 million pieces of plastic. This natural product replaces plastic wraps and is made of organic cotton and beeswax. This makes it healthier to wrap it around any bowl or food, like cheese. And after we wrap it, we wash it. And of course, reuse it. With so many different kinds of wax wraps to choose from, just remember, this is our earth, our choice.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening to my story. I hope it was helpful and interesting for everyone. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
All right, thank you so very much, Antoinette. That was amazing. You really gave us an intimate window into your entrepreneurial journey and experience. I learned so much listening to that. I'm really inspired, rethinking my career choices and wondering if it's not too late to be an entrepreneur myself. I loved it. I loved your mission, everything you're about. So we've allotted a little bit of time for our finalists to share some of their questions. And we got a lot that came in while you were talking, which is wonderful, not surprising. So if you haven't asked a question yet to our students and you'd like to, there's still time. So speak up, soak up as much as you can. And to ask a question, if you haven't already, just please type it in the chat box in Zoom and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can. So I'll start with the first question I've got here, Antoinette. One of our students is asking, how hard is it to navigate the business environment in a country and culture that is not your own?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I think it makes it more exciting even. I like a good challenge. And like I was saying in the beginning of my talk, that I traveled to Japan. I also been to India. I've been to many countries, in particular in Asia. So I love that. Like I love being, you know, learning a language and understanding how it works here in Thailand, because the organizational culture is a little bit different here. So I kind of add my kind of mindset, I guess, but with respect to theirs. I think it's about mutual respect and understanding and good communication and leading with compassion. There are some obstacles as a foreigner in Thailand, like some administration problems as well, because Thailand tries to protect their, you know, economy and their country from like foreign ownership. So this can sometimes be an obstacle, but I do feel like for me, for some people, it might be an obstacle to work with another culture in another country and run a business. But for me, it's like the icing on the cake. Yeah.
Incredible. That's incredible. And I think it's so in keeping with the entrepreneurial spirit to want to take on that challenge and find meaning in it as well. So great response. We've got another question, Antoinette. One of our students is asking, how do you see the market and maybe the world in general, just societies all over Thailand and beyond, evolving in terms of awareness and adoption of eco-friendly alternatives like yours?
Good question. One thing I didn't talk about, I left out of the talk, was competition. So after the video went viral, it also inspired a lot of people, mostly cottage industry, to make and sell the same product in many parts of the world. And in this sense, it was good because it's less plastic for everyone. I do think social media could do more. I do see beeswax wrap as an example from all of our products. It is available quite worldwide, and there are competitors in other countries, and Amazon has maybe, I don't know, 1,000 other producers. I'm not sure about, the quality and if they're made in the same kind of setting as us. Definitely it's grown. I think it was growing a lot, sustainability and different products and reusables, and the pandemic hit. And I don't know about where you're living, but here you couldn't use a reusable cup at the coffee shop. They refused to refill reusable cups because of germs or whatever, for whatever reason. So I think the pandemic did stop that growth. I do find in places in Germany, this is quite remarkable. In Germany, for the last, I think, 30 years, they have not offered plastic bags in supermarkets. I lived in Germany and I moved there in 2002 or something, and already supermarkets, you have to take your own bag. It's mandatory, or you have to have big arms to carry it out, So I do think it is growing and slower in some places. It depends on, I guess, the economies of countries. Like in Thailand, you can buy very cheap meals in plastic bags, So some people have existential problems. That means they cannot afford the other choice, the reusable or the alternative. So there are many factors. But in general, I would say awareness is growing a lot.
Response. And reading between the lines from what you were saying, Antoinette, I think also there's an opportunity for companies like your own or anyone thinking of starting a business to not always just respond to the status quo and where the market is at, but to also move the needle and lead and evolve things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We need more like lions, people who don't look at business in a totally different way, because, that conservative way of business is like, make the most profit, choose the most profitable version of whatever it is, but we spend more on tape because it's not plastic but, in the end, I feel like if you make the better choices, there is a growing consciousness in the people, even if governments might not be like supporting it fully, because money is of course important, but I think that the consumers are starting to become more aware, and maybe through social media, they can see what companies are doing more closely and like, oh, they're making an effort, or, this is made from here, or that's handmade, and they see, so I think there's a growing consciousness from the consumer, which is also helping, and from more entrepreneurs having different objectives in business, not just profit.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Profit and purpose can coexist.
Yeah.
We've got another question here. We've had a few students ask versions of the same question. So, and I know you touched on this towards the end of your presentation, but how does a startup ship and export their products all over the world when they're still small? I mean, we hear so much about the large companies, the Apples of the world, diversifying their supply chains, reshoring, nearshoring, all of this stuff. That's one thing if you're a big company, but when you're just starting out, how do you think about this?
I think we were really lucky because our products are very small. Like if you look at the first product that we launched, the beginner set, it fits in an envelope. So I think if you have a small, easy to ship product, it's possible for you to, we started always shipping with air. We work with FedEx and we ship air freight. A lot of products that are big, they cannot afford, they're not going to make profit probably if they send like a laptop or something bigger. So if you have like small products, I think it's easier to grow in the beginning like we did with air freight. And then once you get volume of sales, you can move into maybe sending a container and so on. So I think for us, that was why we could do it, because of the weight. One product is around 100 grams and you can fit 200 in a box and so on. So these kind of things are really important to know, like how big or how heavy is my product. And then of course, if it is a big product, you would have to start with containers. And then, you need a lot of capital in the beginning to be shipping like that. So I think because our products were very light, when we had like the video went viral and we're just sending one beginner set here and one beginner set there, it was not, the cost of shipping was quite low for those small products. So we were lucky that enabled us to grow. given when you're shipping, there's that fluctuation, you'll get like, let's say your package is $7 to send, but there's always the fuel surcharge, which can fluctuate around 12%. So it could be plus, 10 cents one day and plus $1.20 the next day or something. So there's a lot of, it's difficult. Shipping is a really, really hard part of business. And if you can grow slowly, this would be key. Slowly with like very light products, and ship small quantities first, and don't ship unless you have a sale. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Those are really great points. And I think that point, especially about, thinking about the product itself and the form factor, keeping it small, not overcommitting financially or otherwise, that also is part of sustainability, right? In terms of a business and being there for the long run. We've got another question that's come in, again, from a couple of students. So how did you identify your customer base, and how important do you think it is to think about segmentation? As we all know, you can't be all things to all people.
Yeah, this is a question I would also like answered. It's so in the beginning when we launched, we had the Australian market because my accent was Australian and I had a lot of Australian, family and friends and so on. And then we also then went more to Europe because Europe in general is more environmentally kind of friendly and aware, and was already kind of had the ball rolling. And my husband's German, so we had that. And Australia is just kind of like one big country with a very small population. So it seemed better to say, okay, let's go to Europe. And the good thing about social media is that you get a lot of information about who's buying your product, or Google for that matter. So I think it was not in the beginning a very business plan or no business plan at all, really at the start of the business. But it grew from like, okay, who's buying our product? Who's buying a lot of our products, maybe. So there were different segments, women from 25 to 35, there were more orders from them, but women from 35 to 45, there were less orders, but they paid more, like double the orders of the younger women. So I think that segmentation of the market and who you're going to target and where you're going to go is important, but you need to kind of maybe throw a big wide net out first to see, who it is you really should be targeting. So I think some kind of on the go research, I think that was part of the first few years, was discovering who are our people, who like our products. And then we entered Japan as well. So we then kind of tried some other markets to see how it was. Yes, I think always checking data, statistics, and like, you always have to be fluid these days. You have to pivot, you have to turn maybe to another market. Something happens there, you go somewhere else. We were actually selling to Israel at one point, but the pandemic, they were fully closed. And now we're starting to get orders again from Israel. So, I mean, of course, you need to identify who your market is, but be flexible at the same time and keep an eye on the data.
That's great advice for our students as they work on their own presentations. I think a lot of times it's very easy to conceptualize things on paper or in a presentation and make a compelling case, but until you actually get stuck in and start doing the work, you don't really have all the answers. And as you said, you need to be responsive, you need to iterate, you need to pivot. And I think that flexibility is really important.
Yes.
One or two more questions, if you don't mind, Antoinette. So we've got one around sustainability. So sustainability, one student says, is often a balance between tradition and innovation. And how do you navigate this balance in the development of your products? Do you think of sustainability as something that's radical and requires, innovating and doing things in completely new ways? Or do you also see a path or a way to perhaps go back to older, more traditional ways in terms of whether that's product design or other considerations?
I think looking back in history, like the beeswax wrap comes from history, or things like cooking from scratch and not processed food, like definitely tradition, like older tradition. There's a lot of answers for us in sustainability, like how our grandparents lived, and there was less plastic. So I think what we try to do is we try to honor the old ways and look how things were done, but also innovate at the same time. And somewhere in between are, you know, the people who were stuck in the plastic treadmill of convenience, I guess, because you can't fight convenience. I guess that's our biggest, sustainability's biggest nemesis, really. You know, that idea you can just go to the 7-Eleven and buy whatever you want, or, you know, so yeah, it's difficult. Sustainability, if you talk about tradition, I don't think it's tradition. I think it's more sustainability, and convenience is really the war there. Does that answer your question?
No, I think that's a great point. And what you were talking about, you know, you can't fight convenience. I've heard it phrased in a similar way, which is you have to make the right choice the easy choice for consumers. And unless and until you can do that, you're probably not going to get the mass adoption and scale that you would want as an entrepreneur, and also who's someone who cares about this topic of sustainability.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've got time for one final question, if you don't mind. Again, it's a bit of a broad one, but what advice do you have? What final words of wisdom maybe would you share for people who are passionate about reducing plastic waste or environmental issues in general and want to make a positive impact like you did? Because I think for a lot of young people and older people, people of my vintage perhaps, you know, we care about the environment, we realize the importance of sustainability, but it can feel so overwhelming and so hard to get started. What might you say to that, to our young students?
Yes, so you can't eliminate plastic 100% from your to that mission, of course, and even then, like, plastic creeps into my house like all the time. So I guess it's about doing your best. It's about making the right choice. So often there'll be a choice, you know, and normally the sustainable choice is the healthier choice, like a banana versus the packet of chips, if we talk about food. So there's many levels. I think like avoiding plastic is the healthier option. I think that it all starts with us. I think everyone has the power to make bigger change, because the choices you make can influence the person next to you, or your mother or your sister, or maybe 1,000 people if you post it on social media or more, you know. So I think it's about little choices. Don't underestimate the small choices. You know, when you go and get a coffee, you know, just sit down and relax and enjoy your coffee. Don't get a takeaway. I mean, you know, like, I think that we're all slowed down. I think if we slowed down and we just thought about the choices a little bit more and what is really good for us, that, you know, many people can make big changes.
No, that's so important. I think big changes start with small individual actions. Well, that's wonderful. I just want to say thank you so much to our students for those questions. Those were great, and I'm glad that you asked so many. And of course, Antoinette, I mean, that was incredible. I think this is such a unique experience for all of us, myself included, to learn from you. So thank you for giving so generously of your time, for sharing from your experience. I mean, it's really quite remarkable what you've done, and we wish you all the best carrying forward, and hopefully you've sparked some new ideas for our finalists who are participating in this event. Thank you so much.
Good luck, everyone. Bye.
Wonderful. Now, our 30 teams who are taking part in this year's ITC finals will be presenting their market entry strategies to the first round of judges tomorrow, August 23rd. After the first round presentations are complete and the scores from our judges have been tabulated and added up, we'll be left with only 6 teams to compete in the grand final round. So please stay tuned for our next public event starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Hong Kong SAR time, and then later at 2 to 2:15 p.m. Hong Kong SAR time for the announcement of the top 6 grand finalist teams. It all comes down to tomorrow, so please tune in and join us then. Now, let's capture the moment here on day 2 with a quick photo if we could. Antoinette would love to request you to join us for this, so please use the raise hand button so that we will be able to see you at the top of the screen. Okay, is everybody ready? All right, I'm going to count down. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Let's get one more if we can. All right, one more time. Just hold those smiles. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Well, once again, a big thank you to our FedEx volunteers. You guys have been amazing. We've received such wonderful feedback from our students, as well as our FedEx Express and Junior Achievement ITC Asia Pacific Finals judges for your time and effort in making this competition a better experience for all of our students. My name is Kurt Kenny from JA Asia Pacific. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to having you join us for the student presentations and award ceremonies tomorrow. Until then, take care.